Claire is fantastic. I love her. She's an American treasure. Hey friends, I hope your week is off to a great start. Today I'm going to be attempting to make Gourmet Reese's Cups from the Bon Appetit series Gourmet Makes. So Claire's recipe for these Reese's Cups isn't drastically different from any other homemade peanut butter cup recipe.
I want a deeper toastiness to the peanut.
Aside from maybe the homemade peanut butter. What interested me about the Bon Appetit video was the conflict between Chris and Claire when talking about tempered chocolate.
Tempered chocolate, no, right, Chris?
I feel like it would be much better with tempered chocolate.
The only person who wants the chocolate to be tempered.
Shouldn't you be spending your time tempering chocolate?
No.
And not like messing around with the airbrusher?
No, the airbrush is making up for the fact that I'm not tempering the chocolate.
I don't know that it is.
The resulting conflict in this video has just flooded Bon Appetit's YouTube channel with comments about Chris's temper tantrum. I've tempered chocolate once before, so I completely see where Claire is coming from. It's a pain in the butt and it takes forever, and I wouldn't want to do it either.
Yes, I am trying to avoid tempering chocolate, so that is the answer that I want to have.
Chris's point that tempered chocolate is glossier, snappier, doesn't melt all over your fingers, and is just better is completely valid, so I understand where he's coming from as well.
A better Reese's Cup.
I
Just a Reese's Cup.
So today I'm going to determine once and for all who was right in this argument. I'm trying the recipe 3 ways. First, I'm going to do it exactly like Claire did.
not tempering the chocolate was kind of a shortcut.
Second, I've got a solution that I think will resolve the sticking issue that Claire was experiencing.
Don't remark upon how they're not coming out of the paper cleanly.
The release is a little different.
Well, the paper's a little different.
And then third, I'm going to temper some chocolate and do it Chris's way.
I feel like we want it to be tempered though.
No, only you want it to be tempered.
So I do these Bon Appetit recipe tests every single Wednesday. If you like this one, please be sure to give me a big thumbs up and click subscribe. Without any further ado, let's see how this goes. So I'm starting with the arts and crafts portion of the project by trimming my dark muffin tin liners to about the height of a Reese's cup. So the recipe said to toast the peanuts for 20 to 25 minutes until they were a nice golden brown. I left mine in the oven only for 10 to 12 minutes because they were super fragrant and already taking on a lot of color. The only peanuts I was able to find were dry roasted, so I don't know if Claire used something different, maybe there's a raw peanut. I wasn't able to find it on Amazon or at my grocery delivery service. Just use your nose and eyes to guide how long to toast the peanuts. Once the nuts are all toasted, you want to just transfer those either to your food processor or your blender and process this until it's completely smooth. The quantities Claire provided are pretty close to exactly what you need to yield 1 cup of finished nut butter. So you'll want to measure out just 1 cup of peanut butter and pop that in the bowl of your standing mixer and set this aside until you need it. So Claire is sweetening the peanut butter using simple syrup rather than powdered sugar. And it's pretty straightforward. You just combine the sugar and water in the very smallest saucepan you have, and you're going to bring this to a boil until it reaches 248 degrees. Then you can take that off the heat, add the vanilla extract and salt to the peanut butter, give it a quick mix, and then very slowly stream in the scalding hot sugar mixture. The recipe said to continue mixing the peanut butter mixture until it was completely cooled. So Claire stopped mixing when it was still a smooth ball of kind of glossy peanut butter mixture. Mixing until it was completely cool caused the peanut butter to kind of split apart and turn into this weird lumpy powder. And I don't know what caused it, but I was really freaking out. I gave it a little bit of a squeeze and it seemed like it was kind of firm and sticky still, so I felt confident that I'd be able to bring it back together. So next I just dumped the crumbly peanut butter mess out onto a sheet of parchment paper, rolled it out to a 1/4 inch thick, neatened up the edges and kind of smushed it back together to get it into one single mass. And then once it was all incorporated and flat, I popped this in the refrigerator for about 20 to 30 minutes until it felt pretty firm to the touch. Then I used a circle cutter that was a little bit smaller than the diameter of a muffin tin liner to cut out rounds, and then those went into the freezer until I was ready for them. So I'm melting my chocolate over a double boiler in a stainless steel bowl. Chocolate scorches really easily, so you never want to melt it over direct heat, and if you want to melt this in the microwave, that's completely fine. Just do it on 50% power in 30-second intervals, giving it a really good stir after each 30 seconds. So Claire said to do 3 of these at a time, banging the muffin tin on the counter. I felt like this was a little bit awkward, and what I found worked better was to do 1 at a time, filling it on the scale, and then dropping/throwing it against the counter to release any air bubbles and kind of level the surface. And then once it was leveled out, I put it in my muffin pan and put that in the refrigerator to harden up. After hardening for about 15 to 20 minutes, I removed them from the refrigerator, topped them off, leveled them off with a spoon, and then I used a blow dryer to spread the surface chocolate out and release any air bubbles. Claire used a blowtorch, which is something I don't currently have, maybe in the future though. To address the sticking issue that Claire experienced, I thought that maybe swapping the muffin tin liner out after the base layer of chocolate had hardened would allow for an easier removal. I found that this made absolutely no impact, so I wouldn't bother trying this approach. So Chris's approach involves tempering the chocolate. I'll link a video that explains the science behind tempering chocolate. Basically, it requires a lot of precise control over the temperature that you're bringing the chocolate to at different stages. So to have maximum control of your chocolate, you want to make sure to use a stainless steel bowl, not a glass bowl, because glass retains heat and you'll get a lot of carryover heating, and that'll take you out of your temperature zones. You also want to have a cool surface ready, whether that's an ice pack or an ice bath, so that you can quickly drop the temperature down into the zones you need it. Once your chocolate is properly tempered, it'll harden at room temperature very quickly. There's no need to refrigerate this, and the process for assembling these Reese's cups is exactly the same as the previous 2 times. I'm done with the Reese's cups from start to finish. This was about 6 hours, but I've got 36 Reese's cups and I tempered chocolate 2 times. So had I not tempered the chocolate, this probably would have been closer to 4.5 or 5 hours. Overall, I am excited with how these Reese's cups turned out from an appearance standpoint. So homemade, a little bit bigger. I knew that going in from the Bon Appetit video, so this is not a surprise. But overall, I think they look great. I'm excited to taste them and see how the flavors all kind of came together. So let's unwrap this and see. Wondering if I'll have the tricky release situation that Claire did. Came off pretty cleanly. This is the non-tempered version. The chocolate's melting almost immediately, so I see what Chris was talking about. Let's give it a taste though. Really dark, toasty, peanutty flavor. It's not overly sweet at all. It's much more of a kind of like roasted peanut flavor versus like sugar with peanuts. The chocolate is so melty. I don't know if you can see my fingerprints in here. So, I mean, holding it for what, like 30 seconds and it's just all over the place. That's what non-tempered chocolate is like. This is the option that I tempered. So I cut this one in half. The chocolate is nice and shiny. It's super hard. You can see the nice kind of layer there. I'm gonna give this one a taste. Audible snap to the chocolate. It's not melting on my fingers at all. It's not overly crunchy, perfectly clean fingers. And then compare that to just a regular Reese's cup. So I've cut this one in half. The peanut butter filling though, very sugar forward. I mean, we all know this, right? We've all had Reese's cups. The comparison though, between the homemade version and the store-bought version, it's shocking how sickeningly sweet the store-bought version is. It still tastes great. So my objective going into today's test was to understand whether Claire's version or Chris's version was better. And I've got to give the win to Chris on this one. I think that the gourmet version should improve upon what you get in the store. And I really do think that Claire made a great recipe, definitely improved the flavor, and Chris's build of tempering the chocolate kind of took it to the next level. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I really hope you enjoyed today's recipe test. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up and click subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.